So today we're going to be reading the 1-star reviews of Dispatch. People have their opinions, but a game that has 90% Metacritic score means that there will be 1% or even 0 stars given to a game. And I want to see what people have to say. Maybe I might agree with them, maybe I won't. I want to see if there's a justification of giving Dispatch 0 stars. I gave Dispatch a 0 out of 10 because you can't romance Malevola. True. I feel it. 0 out of 10 because you can't romance Malevola. All right, let's read these reviews. Oh my goodness, it's actually lower on PlayStation. I didn't know that. I would think it would be different because like you think PlayStation is a casual type of platform. The percentage is higher on PlayStation. But first, let's go to the negative reviews on PC. Yeah, this one is the earliest 1-star or 1 rating, which is crazy out of 100. A silly visual novel with mini games. The animation are cartoons. I don't get that. Like, okay, if you don't like visual stories, fair enough. But like the way they say the animations are cartoons. What do you mean? The first animations were always cartoons, unless you want to like include like CGI or something like that. That's so weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like in the year 2025, we can't be like shaming works of art, film, and story because it's a cartoon. We can't act like live action is 100% better when it comes to telling a story. It's not true. A lot of Eastern stories, like Japanese, Chinese, Korean stories, nowadays are told through animation, and they have some of the they have the best stories. I was about to say most best. That doesn't make sense. They have such profound and deep stories, especially in shonen. You know, shonen anime is meant for like teenagers, like young teenagers, but they have like really deep thoughts and things that challenge your perspective of the world. I feel like you just saying, oh, because it's our cartoon, it doesn't have value. Crazy. I 110% disagree with that statement. With the cheesy humor, don't understand the praise. Okay, you know what? I found parts of Dispatch funny. Like it takes a lot for me to laugh, let alone crack a smile. There was a couple of times where I was chuckling throughout Dispatch, but everyone's humor is not the same. I get that. I understand that. That's fair. If you don't understand the humor, it's okay. But the cool thing about Dispatch is that it doesn't like just rely on the humor either. It has like a lot of like cool moments of Robert actually inspiring a team. Like there was a couple of times when Robert was talking to the Z team and I was like, damn, I wish this guy was leading me on the football field, right? I feel like Robert was Captain America out here. So yeah, sometimes the humor, I can understand why people might not like the humor. That's fair. But Dispatch is more than just the humor, right? There's a lot of like deep moments. Well, let me not say deep moments, but there's a lot of moments that be like, wow, the guy dropped bars, you know? That's just how I feel about it. The game is actually very linear. Your choices have little impact of the story. See, I had a feeling that some people are going to say stuff about the choices of Dispatch. A lot of your choices, I will say this, a lot of your choices do feel like they don't have a lot of impact. It just might take a little bit of while for you to see like the major impact of your choices, you know? For example, when you kicked Sonar or Coupe, the instant impact of that decision was your initial dispatches were different. You were a man down, which made things a little bit more difficult in your dispatching. And depending on who you kicked, Punch Up or Malevola would be a little bit more snarky or less compliant to you dispatching them because you kicked out their synergized partner or whatever, right? So that was an instant impact of the story and of your gameplay too. That impacts your gameplay as well. That's one thing that people didn't know. That's like a small little impact, but the choices that you make, they build up to like a grand finale where you're like, oh, this is what really happened, you know? Same thing with like the people that you kicked in episode 3. You see the repercussions of that in episode 7 and 8, and pretty much. So it's like that. I think they just don't like these types of games, like Detroit Becoming Human. What else? Telltale games, you know, The Wolf Among Us. They just don't like those kind of choice-based games, which it's fair, you know. I understand that, but like I feel like when you give a game 1, you're basically saying that there's like little to no redeeming qualities of this game. You're basically saying this game is the X-Arm of gaming. Like if you guys don't know what X-Arm is a travesty of animation. Like X-Arm is so bad that you watch it because it's funny. It's one of those movies that are so bad that you watch because it's funny. And when you give a game like Dispatch 1, you're basically saying that because first of all, the art style in Dispatch was pretty good. And then like the story, I liked it. It wasn't just like pathetic or anything like that. Like it had redeeming qualities. Like if you're someone who doesn't like this genre, I feel like you have to give it credit for the things it does well. And because of that, for the bare minimum, I say you should give it the bare minimum like a 50 or 60%, in my opinion. If you just don't like the genre, fair enough. but for the effort, for the quality, the thinking that they put into the game, just from the voice actors too, it deserves at least a 60 or 50%. Me personally, I'll give season 1 of Dispatch like somewhere between 90 and 80, maybe like 85, right? I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 game. There are some complaints that I have with it that I'll make another video talking about things that I hope that they correct in season 1 that I didn't like into like season 2, right? Like I'll give it like maybe 85, 82. Like I wouldn't say it's a perfect 10 out of 10 game, but I enjoyed it. I got my money's worth out of it. That's just how I feel. What's good? Hi guys. Am I glazing? I am a glazing. The humor. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the humor, that's the same thing with like Deadpool. Like some people don't like Deadpool because of the actor. They're like, oh, I don't like this actor's humor. And I'm like, that's fair. You know, I get it. Everyone's humor is subjective. Everyone's humor is subjective. Another thing that they say is the game is very linear. I hate to break it to you, a lot of games, a lot of action adventure games are linear. You know, BioShock is a linear. Most like FPS campaigns are linear. And just because a game is linear doesn't mean it's bad. It just doesn't mean it's bad at all, right? Titanfall 2 is a linear game. It's awesome. The story mode of GTA, almost every single GTA game is linear. Like it has a linear progression. And the way you progress in that is linear. Red Dead Redemption is, well, would you say Red Dead Redemption is linear? I guess so. Alan Wake 2 is a linear game. Just because a game is linear doesn't mean it's bad. I don't know. Oh yeah, this guy said there are 8 episodes. So I rated this after episode 1 and 2. I feel like that's a little bit early. I feel like you don't get a good gist of the game until episode 4. If you hate the game or you feel absolutely repugnant of the game after episode 4, you probably won't like the rest of the story. But like after episode 4, you gotta at least appreciate some parts of the game. But yeah, we have another 1-star review from D4CD. Spoiler alert, it contains spoilers. I like this. Good job. One good thing, the music. Okay, so he gives a positive. That's good. The bad things, well, the illusion of choice, lack of emotion of Robert, boring missions, unexplained plots, Chase doesn't die. He did this on the 13th? Okay. Making his scene useless. You can fail all the minigames and no consequences. So I like this 1-star review a little bit better because first they named the positive, and some of the things that they mentioned as a critique, I kind of agree with, you know? I don't like the fact that, like, what's the point of having quick times? Like, the quick times just felt useless. They just really did. You can fail every single quick time, nothing happens. Nothing happens. That one thing I agree with. Chase not dying, I'm happy he didn't die, honestly. Like, you got to understand the type of person Chase is, you know? Just from him trying to save Invisigal. His coma did progress the plot still. You can tell the whole Z team was affected by that. And what's better than like seeing a hero return, right? That's like saying, what was it? Was it Batman versus Superman? It was one of the videos where Superman is dead. You're saying, oh, Superman died, but he came back, and that spoils everything. When Superman returned in the, I forgot, it's like one of the Justice League movie. I'm not too sure if it was Superman versus Batman or whatever. It's one of the DC Snyderverse movies, films. When he came back, that was awesome. Just because a character doesn't stay dead doesn't cheapen their death at all, right? Because when Superman died and he came back, I don't think a lot of people felt cheated, right? For one, I think most people knew Superman was going to stay dead, but how he returned and just kicked everybody on the Justice League's butt, it was epic, right? Just because a character cheats death doesn't mean it's a bad way of going, right? The illusion of choice, I mean, that's fair. I already mentioned this. Your choice does have impact, but how much of it probably not as much impact as you want, right? People probably wanted a choice where, oh, Robert actually loses to Shroud. I think some people actually wanted that timeline. There are, the way the endings end, there's like 5 different endings to Dispatch. You just got to play the whole game out. There's 5 different endings. There's more than 5 different endings for Dispatch, guys. So we already debunked that. Robert having a lack of emotion, I wouldn't say that. I think he broke down. Well, it was like, I think it was episode, yeah, it was episode 7. He actually broke down and felt bad for Chase, right? And I wouldn't say Robert's emotionless. He gets angry a lot too. Yeah, he got angry at the Z team quite a few times. I wouldn't say he lacks emotion. He could be stoic at times, but sometimes you want a leader to be not rock hard, pause, no Trump. You don't rock, not rock hard, but you want them to be calm and stable under pressure. And like a job like Dispatch requires someone to be calm and stable. You want someone very stable. And again, he showed emotion with Chase on his deathbed. You fail. Yeah, I do agree with the whole mini games. Like, you can just do terrible with your dispatching and there's like little to no consequences, really. Like, that's one thing I will say. I feel like there should be more consequences, or at least better rewards for when you like do well. That's one thing I will say. If you want illusion of choice and a whole nothing burger of consequences, go play this. I agree with the consequences. Well, I mean, some of your choices do have consequences. Like, if you were rooting for Invisigal to be good, and if you do like certain things wrong, you don't get that, you know? I got the bad ending of Invisigal, even though I untied her, I showed her trust, I leaned into the kiss, but she still became a villain. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. I just had the most unluckiest run. It must have been something that I did in a previous episode. But the main reason why I didn't want Invisigal to be a love interest for Chase was because she smokes a lot, right? She smokes a lot. Was that a stupid reason for me to say? I don't think so. I just can't get with smokers. But because I never really like try to go full balls deep, pause, no Trump with Invisigal, she became a villain. So that was my consequence. I felt bad because I didn't want her to become a villain, but she ended up going back to her villainous ways. So there are consequences, probably not enough consequences that people wanted. But yeah, I do agree there probably should be more consequences, at least for like the quick time events or you failing your dispatches. I feel like there should be more consequences in that department. It doesn't matter what you click or choose. Dialogue options, I agree. Dispatching, no, dialogue options, I disagree. Dispatching, I agree. There we go. The results are the same, not all the time. You can click absolutely nothing at all, quick time events. It would literally not change the outcome. I agree, for sure. How people rate this blob so high is beyond me. It's literally not a game, a joke of real Telltale games. I haven't played other Telltale games. You guys let me know. Do you guys, like, y'all let me know. Or where would you rank this compared to other, like, games similar to this and like other Telltale games? I'm just curious. Just curious. And we have a 0 from Pizza Lover 1990. Ooh, you old. Well, let me not say old. So this person gave this is the only person on Metacritic to give Dispatch a 0. I didn't even know you can give something a 0. So this is absolute hater material. I don't understand all the fuss about this movie. The main character is literally a worse version of Peter Parker from Into the Spider-Verse. I think they're different. They're very different. The dialogue is dumb and pointless. The character looks like they were spat out by some AI. That's crazy, especially since Dispatch made it clear that they don't want to use AI for creative solutions. I think, me personally, it's okay to use AI for like mundane stuff, like if you want to max something, like, or basic computation. I mean, it's okay, but it's like, I do have a weird feeling in my stomach whenever people use AI to replace artists, just because it's not better. It rarely ever is better. It rarely is ever better. But yeah, Adhoc Studios came out and said that they don't plan on using AI specifically for creative solutions. I think they worded that specifically for one, sick burn. Like, they had a bar. That was a bar. And two, I wouldn't be surprised if Adhoc does use AI, but for like mundane stuff, like for just mundane, boring stuff that doesn't really require creativity, human creativity or attention. But like for creative artwork and stuff like that, animations, I'm pretty sure they don't use AI. Your actions don't determine the fate of the plot. Disagree. There's 5 different endings. It's hard to call it a game unless a parody of Unbreakable and The Boys. I haven't seen Unbreakable. I do know about The Boys. That's worse in every way. I think The Boys is worst case scenario of how superpowers will look in the real world. The Boys is a good series. It's just like a more nihilistic and pessimistic view of superpowers in reality, where Dispatch is a little bit more campy. It's a little bit more campy in its realism and stuff like that. Aspects of realism, I should say. You have to be completely stupid to want to win this game of the world. Win awards at TGA. So this is probably someone who is standing hard for Expedition 33. This is an Expedition 33 fanboy. I just feel it. I just know it. It seems the gaming industry is dying, which is no surprise. I love it how every year people say gaming is dying, and every year we just get more and more great games. It probably aren't the games that you want. Like, I know a lot of people who are into shooters and only play shooters just want more shooters, but the quality of shooters that are coming out are low just because it's so hard to make better shooters. It just is. It just really is. It's such a competitive market. But if you like expand your horizon and play other stuff, then you'll realize, oh, gaming is like hitting all-time highs with the amount of like bangers out there. Like every year, the amount, like picking a winner for the game of the year gets harder every single year. And there's a reason for that, just because there's just better games coming out. But yeah, Pizza Lover 1990 clearly is a is probably like an Expedition 33 fanboy, or maybe a Mega Boink fanboy. I could definitely see that. So that was PC. Let's look at PlayStation, because wow, Pizza Lover commented on both PC and PlayStation. Okay, good for you, man. Wow. Whoa, when PlayStation players go in, they go win, bro. I wasn't expecting this many zeros, bro. I thought PlayStation was more of a casual market. These guys are haters. Oh my goodness. Okay, Spectre 1020, boring dialogue. That's an opinion. The comedy is like a bad episode of The Office. One thing I will say though, Dispatch is basically like The Office meets superhero powers. So again, like, comedy is subjective. Like, I know in certain countries and cultures, they don't really appreciate sarcasm. Like, I think it's a big thing, or not a big thing, but it's a common thing where people from Japan, or a lot of Japanese people, aren't the biggest fan of sarcasm, right? While some people in Europe, especially the UK, love sarcasm. They just love dry humor. And that's just not something that's like appreciated everywhere. So comedy is very subjective. I don't think that is the main reason why you should give it a 1. Took too long to finally get going. It does have amazing animation going for it. Again, I don't think you give it a 1. Just based on what you say, I don't think you give it a 1. I think bare minimum is 50. Cringe game for gooners, unskippable ugly cartoons. Put some respect on cartoons. Why you like this awful tune non-game? Just a hater. Just a hater. Like, cartoons and animations can be deep and philosophical and great. It's so garbage. This is just a hater. It's just a hater. Junky gameplay. I will mention the gameplay could be better in a video game industry. Stop justifying this ish. Okay. We got another hater, Ninja. This was on the 12th. This is on the 13th. 010 for this hater. Crappy copy of This Is the Police. I never heard of This Is the Police. What is that? 0. It's super overrated. Digital scum of 2025. Don't buy this trash. Developers buying people for cheap marketing. Stop being weak and supporting laziness. Bad games destroy. I wouldn't be surprised if these like last 3 that we read was from the same person. Like, they don't explain why they hate it. And then we got Pizza Lover 1990 also being a hater. It's just like, I don't know, and whatnot. That is interesting. So that's everything from Metacritic. We can go to Steam. Let's go to Steam. Let's read some Steam reviews. All right, so this person said the story is good. Dispatch is one of the only games I've ever seen that punishes the players by not choosing to romance the characters. That's boring. Yeah, I will say that is kind of crazy. Like, there's this whole thing with Invisigirl being not a predator, but someone who SAs other people. The evidence for Invisigirl is not good. Like, they do make a good point that freaking Robert does take quite a beating from Invisigal, right? And if you're into anime, you just call that behavior tsundere. You have tsundere behavior, but fair enough, I guess. Please add in accessibility options to increase or pause dialogue timers for people that read a little slow. That's fair. That's fair. I can understand that. Like, some people have, like, I don't want to say learning disabilities, but some people, you know, need a little extra time. That's fair. Even though it's like, do you need to read the dialogue? I guess if you're a deaf person, like, yeah, if you're deaf, you probably would need to read it. So yeah, that's a good point. I originally bought this game with the intent of playing it with my partner who is dyslexic. I mean, they can listen to it, but if they're deaf, fair enough. Unfortunately, the time dialogue options made it difficult to play through together. We usually like to talk through which dialogue options we want to choose. You can just hit the pause button. What are we talking about? But yeah, I understand. I see where he's coming from. That's fair. This is valid. Only 0.5. No, my playtime of the review is low because I mainly play offline on my Steam Deck. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, he makes a good point. Like, yeah, if you have a reading disability, or you can't legitly hear stuff, you're deaf or just hard of hearing, that's fair. That's valid. They should add that. Oh, this man goes in. Bro almost portrayed the entire humanity for a dog. Valid. I'm not gonna lie. When Shroud pulled up with the dog and everyone just stopped in their tracks, I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty lame. I was like, come on, guys. We're really not gonna let the whole city burn because of a dog here. Like, I low-key wish Dispatch had an option where they said, let Shroud keep the dog. I wonder how many people would let the dog go GG's. Probably not a lot of people, but like IRL, real life, I think most people would sacrifice the dog in that situation. Like, if we're being 100% objective and with everything on the line, I think most people will sacrifice the dog. I think they would. I think they would. I think they would. But that's just the developers being fun. You know, they were just having fun. They were just having fun with the writing. So yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But outside of that, the ending arc was pretty cool, especially with the action scenes and like just the new Mecha Man robot coming out the woodworks. That was pretty fire. Dion, dating sim in disguise. Your choices barely matter as much as the game tries to convince you otherwise. You get enrolled into such a bad path whenever you refuse to love a villain, which feels sexist how they only become good if you try to romance them, no matter how much you try to support them. I mean, there was an ending where Invisigal doesn't become a bad guy and you also remain single. There is an ending. If anything, that probably is the hardest ending to get, where Invisigirl doesn't turn evil and you remain maidenless. So, but I will say this game was very much for the shippers. if people really like shipping, this game was very much for them. I guess like if you're not into shipping culture, fair enough. I'm not the biggest fan of shipping. I just play along for the clicks and views and just to also troll people a little bit. But yeah, I can understand like if you don't like shipping culture, you might not like this game either. Fair enough. I mean, you can still end up like single, maidenless, but yeah, I understand. That one I understand. All right, Aria Killer. The choices are not that consequential. Agreed. The game is overhyped. Disagree. Iconic characters with decent acting. The choices are not like RPGs. Choose your own adventure. It's honestly less choices than say Bandersnatch by Black Mirror. I say this as I have now finished the game. 11 hours, that's fair. Yeah, I feel like the choices could be a little bit impactful. There are choices that do impact the story, but probably more of them and more consequences. I do agree. That's why I'm not giving the game like a 10 out of 10. I give it like an 82. I give it an 82. I think 82 is fair.